Hello, ladies and gentlemen, or should I say more specifically, legal and health professionals or professionals in otherwise regulated industries. Thank you for joining me. Today's webinar is all about compliance on social media for your industries that require additional care and concern when marketing online. This is probably about my fourth or fifth webinar, so if you want to go ahead and check out Ellie's social media page, you can do so and rewatch some of the previous webinars that we've had for free on our page. But thank you again for joining me today. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. So I did notice that we do have some finance and some oil and gas professionals joining us today. So I did take a minute to put in some relevant information regarding those industries into the webinar as well. So stay tuned for that. I know that it will be really helpful for you. Once again, my name is Kaylin Brown. I am the founder and managing director of Ellie Social Media. It's a marketing agency that helps service consultancies, logistics, health, legal businesses succeed online and modernize their lead gen, as well as create content so that you can have consistency on social media, which sets you up for success. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to be presenting a little slideshow that I have here. Let me know in the comments if you can see it. But the first thing that I wanted to do was share a few statistics with you that are really eye-opening. Now, when I was doing research for this, I really wanted to understand a little bit more on how many people really rely on social media for information within these regulated industries. And here we can see 90% of young people said that they would trust health information shared on social media. 63% of patients chose one provider over another based on a strong online presence. And 80% of people on social media use it to search for health-related information. So if you can imagine that, those are huge numbers. People are no longer using Google to type in what is this illness or what are these symptoms. They are looking online for more complex and diverse answers to their health questions and concerns. Now, with that, we could even go on to the negative spectrum when we see that 15% of parents with children under 18 have self-diagnosed a health concern based on information they have found on social media. So there are positive and negatives to these stats and to the fact that people are relying on social media more and more in these regulated industries. When you think about somebody who might be searching for legal help, they might go onto Instagram and search keywords and get your firm come up and answer their question in a really practical way. They might not even need to book an appointment with you after they have their answer, but ideally they would. Now, with that, only 30% of medical facilities have social media guidelines in writing. So these stats were actually taken from 2012, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. So those stats must be much, much more high in considering how far social media has come over the last few years. Like I said, today's webinar is all about navigating social media compliance for regulated industries. And the honest truth is that social media can be a minefield of potential compliance issues. This webinar will provide a comprehensive overview of social media compliance and offer you practical guidance for professionals in finance, healthcare, pharmaceuticals, and other regulated fields. Now, I want you to walk away from this webinar after all this free information feeling confident that at the end, you can go ahead onto your social media and start promoting your business risk-free. I know in speaking to a lot of professionals in these industries, one of their primary concerns is it's not that they can't invest the money into the marketing. It's that they don't want to put their business at risk online. They don't want to invest the money into the experts that could potentially put their business at risk. And we'll talk about a little bit more of those regulating bodies that can control that type of content. But overall, I want to give you those industry-specific regulations, best practices for creating compliant yet engaging content, key do's and don'ts for social media managers and employees, and some resources for staying up to date with evolving regulations. Now, three of the main, is that not showing up for you guys? Here, let's see if I can. reload that. So 3 of the main regulating bodies that I would like to cover today are the HIPAA compliance, the Consumer Ad Standards, and the Canadian Food and Drugs Act. So when you're running a health clinic or law firm and want to engage with clients or patients via social media, there are several legal and regulatory frameworks you need to be mindful of, particularly HIPAA, the Food and Drugs Act, and the Advertising Standards Regulations. These regulations are in place to protect patient privacy, ensure honest and ethical advertising, and maintain public trust in health and legal services. So this is an overview of what types of posts would not be allowed, along with suggestions on how to navigate these restrictions. That's what we're going to get into shortly. So let's start off with HIPAA, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. This is patient privacy and confidentiality. So the things that you cannot post is patient identifiable information. You can't post anything that reveals a patient's identity or personal health information without their explicit consent. This includes photos, names, medical records, and more importantly, any details about their treatment that could identify them. Now, I was actually just on Instagram last night and I was going through some law firms' Instagram profiles. And on one of the pages, I saw this woman detailing in very clear detail, very specific information regarding a certain case that they had done a settlement for. Now, the problem with that is that although you may not be mentioning names or medical records or photos, any of those details, say that person who had gotten your help as a legal firm to help them with their case, they told their friend, hey, I use so-and-so legal firm. And then later down the line, 2 months later, that firm is spouting the information about that case. That friend could typically end up identifying their friend as that perpetrator within that case, not because of photo or anything like that, but the details specifically. So for a health clinic, a photo of a patient before and after a weight loss procedure showing their face and mentioning their weight loss program is not allowed. A testimonial from a patient discussing their experience with their services, if that testimonial includes identifiable information such as their name, location, or any other unique health details, is also not allowed. So what do you do instead? So there are a few different ways that you can go about using this content in your social media. The first one is that you want to obtain written consent first and foremost. If you want to share any patient stories or experiences, you have to have the written consent from the patient for their image, testimonial, and health details to be shared publicly. Another thing that you might want to do is if you're going to speak about a specific case, what you can do to protect some of that information is to use anonymized or stock imagery. Instead of showing the before and after photos, you could use stock photos or generic images that don't actually identify specific individuals. And you might also want to consider just using general information. So sharing educational content, such as explaining the benefits of a procedure or the science behind it, is allowed as long as you're not revealing patient-specific data. So instead of sharing a patient's story, you could post a general description of the benefits of a particular weight loss procedure without any identifiable details and include an educational blog post or a video link explaining how it works. That's the way that you get around those HIPAA compliances. Second off, we want to talk about the Food and Drugs Act. So that is to ensure that you're not going against any specific kind of claims that might be that might be misleading. So for instance, unverified or misleading health claims. You cannot advertise medical or health products or services with claims that are not backed by credible scientific evidence or that can mislead the public about the benefits or risks of the product or treatment. So for instance, you might want to be promoting a weight loss treatment, and things that you're not allowed to say is lose 30 pounds in 30 days with our weight loss program, guaranteed results. or this procedure is 100% safe and will have no side effects. You'll never have to worry about your health again. So definitely don't want to do that. Instead of doing that, you might want to say, our weight loss treatment will definitely make you lose. Instead of saying our weight loss treatment will definitely make you lose 30 pounds in 30 days, you can say studies show that on average, patients who undergo specific procedure can expect to lose an average of 10 to 15 pounds over the course of 8 to 12 weeks, depending on individual factors. Always consult with your doctor to discuss your unique health goals. Now, the reason why you want to do that is because it helps you to make accurate and evidence-based claims. So no making blanket promises. You have to share the facts and statistics that are supported by scientific research or clinical trials. You also want to cite sources. So when you're making claims about the effectiveness of a procedure, you need to use evidence-based sources like peer-reviewed studies, government health agencies, or medical journals. And be sure to provide references or links to these sources in the caption, for instance. Another governing body is the Advertising Standards Regulation. So that is for ethical marketing of legal and health services. So for instance, what you cannot post is false or misleading testimonials. So for instance, both health clinics and law firms are prohibited from using testimonials that might be perceived as false, misleading, or based on exaggerated experiences. This includes using fake or too good to be true testimonials or reviews. So an example of prohibited content might be a law firm posting a testimonial from a client who claims, "I won my case in 2 days thanks to this law firm, the best lawyers in the business." So this is obviously a misleading statement because most legal cases actually take time and not every client's case is resolved that quickly. So that would be giving unrealistic results. And as it relates to health clinics, so the weight loss procedure guarantees results. See our patient testimonials for proof without providing specific context or disclaimers. So the solution in order to abide by the Advertising Standards Regulation would be to use realistic testimonials and avoid overstatements. So instead of "I lost 40 pounds in just 2 months with this procedure," you could post, "Our clients report feeling more confident and healthier after completing the weight loss program. Results vary by individual." In order to speak about law firms specifically, what we might want to talk about are restrictions on legal advice and advertising. So what you cannot post when you're advertising for your firm is specific legal advice. You all hear that obviously you can't provide specific advice through Instagram DMs, obviously. That's because it's prohibited unless you're directly consulting with a client. So legal advertisements can't guarantee a certain result in any legal matter, and they must adhere to rules regarding professional conduct. So an example of prohibited content might be a law firm posting, "If you've been injured in a car accident, we guarantee you $100,000 in compensation. Call us now." So what could we do instead of that? We could say, "Facing a car accident injury, we have years of experience helping victims get the compensation they deserve. Contact us for a free consultation." Some other regulatory considerations that we might want to consider are the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, the Federal Trade Commission. So the FDA is basically if you're posting about products or treatments that fall under the FDA, like pharmaceuticals or medical devices, you cannot make unsubstantiated claims about their safety or efficacy. Always provide balanced information and disclaimers. So the Federal Trade Commission requires that any post featuring endorsements such as testimonials or influencer marketing must be clearly marked as such, and the product must be accurately represented. So, for example, "This miracle pill helped me lose 10 pounds in just 1 week." That would definitely be flagged by the FDA if the product is unapproved, or by the FTC if there's no disclosure that the influencer was paid to promote it. So that's why you see in a lot of influencer content, they'll put #ad or #sponsored. You definitely need to understand that transparency is key here. Always include proper disclaimers if you're running a promotion or sharing a testimonial. And when you're working with influencers, ensure that they disclose their relationship with your clinic or firm first and clearly. So definitely I would recommend that you go onto our social media account, our Instagram, ellie.social.media, because we post a lot of these do's and don'ts over there and general information regarding these regulated industries on what you can and can't do online. So as a summary and as for solutions for social media posting, we can go over this and say, avoid posting anything that could breach confidentiality under HIPAA, like identifiable patient images or information, unless you have written consent. Don't make unverified claims about the effectiveness or safety of the treatments, particularly in relation to weight loss or medical procedures. Thirdly, ensure that your marketing is honest and ethical, following advertising standards by avoiding misleading testimonials or claims of guaranteed results. And lastly, use educational content to engage potential clients or patients. Share facts, statistics from clinical studies, or general tips without making promises or misrepresentations. So by staying within these legal and ethical boundaries, you can still create engaging and informative social media posts that highlight your expertise and connect with your audience. So that's going over healthcare organizations. So if you would like me to send you these slides, I can do so. I've also gone ahead and uploaded 4 different blog posts on our website that go over each industry and general do's and don'ts for those industries. I'm going to go ahead and skip them. As for resources, you can definitely check out the Canadian Medical Association Code of Ethics. For U.S. healthcare organizations, you could do HIPAA regulations, FDA guidelines, and FTC guidelines. And then general social media guidelines, you might want to just look at HIPAA social media rules or law firm social media policies. So actually, Clio.com is a great resource for that. So what about for Canadian legal firms? What are some key regulatory bodies? Let's get into that. Provincial law societies. So for instance, Law Society of Ontario, Law Society of BC. Those bodies ensure the advertisements are ethical, truthful, and dignified, and that direct solicitation is avoided. You can also use the Canadian Bar Association as a resource, which provides ethical guidelines for lawyer conduct and advertising. We also have the Advertising Standards Canada, which ensures that advertising follows ethical standards and does not mislead the public. We have the Competition Bureau of Canada, which enforces laws against false or misleading advertisement in legal services. The Federal Trade Commission, which is relevant for firms engaging with clients in the US, particularly in cross-border advertising. And then number 6, Privacy Commissioner of Canada, regulates the collection and use of personal information in marketing. So by ensuring your legal marketing strategies align with the rules and ethical guidelines set forth by these organizations, you can help maintain a strong reputation, avoid legal issues, and ensure compliance in your advertising efforts. So some things that you might want to do versus if you're Canadian versus if you're United States. So obviously these are going to be based on the different regulatory bodies, but you can go ahead and take a look or request that I send you these slides. If I were to go over each one of these points, it would be a very long stream, so I'm not going to do that. What I will do is go on to financial firms. What do financial firms need to do to ensure compliance? I know that there was a certain attendee on this stream today who is in finance and accounting. So here is some tips for them. Develop and follow an internal compliance program. Ensure that marketing materials are reviewed by compliance officers or legal counsel to make sure they adhere to both SEC and FINRA regulations. Use balanced language, focused on clear, balanced communication that presents both the potential rewards and the risks of investing. Disclose risks. Make sure that all marketing materials disclose the potential risks of investment products. For example, when talking about an investment, include a statement such as, investing involves risks and past performance is no guarantee of future results. So if you are in finance, I would definitely write that down. Investing involves risks and past performance is no guarantee of future results. You're going to also want to train your marketing teams. Ensure that everyone involved in creating marketing materials understands the rules set forth by the SEC and the FINRA regular. And then have regular training to ensure that you guys are doing compliance for this advertising to prevent costly mistakes. And then number 5 is to monitor and audit marketing campaigns. So continuously audit your marketing content to ensure ongoing compliance, especially in the case of changing regulations. Some resources that you might want to access for financial services are the following. And then lastly, I want to get into navigating oil and gas marketing compliance. So this requires a keen understanding of various regulatory bodies that monitor advertising practices. Here are the key takeaways for oil and gas companies. So we have the CER, Canada Energy Regulator, which requires truthful representation of environmental and safety claims. We also have the U.S. Federal Trade Commission, which enforces laws to prevent misleading greenwashing and demands substantiation of environmental claims. And so that is really important because we can commonly see some businesses refer to their operations as good for the planet or not contributing to global warming, but you really have to be careful if you're going to make those claims because you could be saying something to encourage the consumers to opt for your company, but really it's just a way to greenwash and make your business look better, even if it doesn't really, that's not really realistic. Okay, so Environmental Protection Agency regulates environmental claims and ensures oil and gas companies can back up their sustainability claims. And then we also have the Oil and Gas Conservation Commission, which ensures that marketing in Alberta does not mislead the public about safety and environmental risks. We also have local and provincial advertising laws, which ensure compliance with regional advertising laws in Canada, and Canadian Advertising Standards Authority, which enforces ethical advertising practices and ensures environmental claims are accurate and substantiated. So by adhering to these regulations and focusing on transparency, oil and gas companies can navigate the complexities of marketing in an environmentally conscious world while avoiding potential legal pitfalls. So I actually want to go ahead and show you some examples, speak to you about some examples of posts that you can do instead. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my recent blog post that I mentioned at the beginning of the stream and give you some examples about oil and gas content specifically. Okay, so here we have it. I'm going to share my screen. So how to ensure your oil and gas marketing meets legal and environmental standards. This will go into all of the information that you need to know. So whether you're a marketing manager for an oil and gas company or a regulatory professional overseeing compliance, understanding the various regulatory bodies that govern marketing practices in this industry is crucial. So claims about environmental benefits, safety, or sustainability must be supported by evidence. So misleading terms like clean energy and zero environmental impact can result in significant legal repercussions. Greenwashing, or the act of falsely advertising a product or service as environmentally friendly, is illegal. So if your oil and gas company claims sustainability, emissions reductions, or other environmental benefits, make sure that you can substantiate these claims with data or third-party certification. Any promotional material claiming significant environmental benefits must also include veritable proof, such as an emission reduction data or third-party audits. Misleading claims of zero-risk operations in oil and gas extraction would violate the OGCC's safety and environmental guidelines, and marketers should focus on transparent, fact-based messaging around safety practices. And then we also must ensure that they are abiding by local and provincial advertising standards. And any environmental or safety claims made in oil and gas advertisements must be factually supported and not exaggerated or misleading. So I would definitely recommend you check out some of these blog posts, which will really detail in depth the regulatory bodies for oil and gas, for instance, Ultimate Guide to Ethical Marketing for Canadian Law Firms, Avoiding Legal Pitfalls in Financial Marketing, and Marketing in the Legal and Health Sector's Key Compliance Regulations You Should Follow. So although it's been a short stream, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that I gave you guys some insights, or at least left you some breadcrumbs for where you can follow up and learn more about what kind of stuff you can post online. If you are looking to outsource your social media marketing, definitely get in touch with me. You can either DM the page Ellie Social Media Marketing or DM me on Instagram and we can get started. What I do offer is free proposals for social media. So if you would like to get an account audit, get some competitor insights and some content recommendations, definitely start the process by sending us a DM and we will get started and hopefully set up a meeting so that we can chat about how you can start outsourcing your social media for your business with confidence and risk-free without making any mistakes on these compliance issues. And like I said, please head on over to my blog and you can look at all the detailed information down there, or follow us on our social media platforms like Instagram or here on LinkedIn, where you can have some of the do's and don'ts and general tips and tricks for how to get ahead with your marketing within these regulated industries. So thank you again. My name is Kaylin and I will be joining you guys every single month for a new webinar. So stay tuned and be sure to RSVP to the future webinar events. I look forward to seeing you there and thank you. Have a great day. Bye now.